So in Excel Chapter 2, in video part 1, we're going to start by using basic functions. And whenever we say basic functions, we mean addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Anytime you write a formula in a cell, you always want to start with the equal sign. Very important. That's how Excel knows that you're about to write a function. Whether it's something basic or something advanced, any kind of formula always starts with the equal sign. Very, very important. Once you have your equal sign, let's say we want to add these two numbers up and you don't want to use that auto sum button that we talked about last time. You can just type in this cell, which would be cell B5. So you can just type B5. Doesn't even have to be capital or anything. And then you're going to type the plus sign. And if you don't want to type, if it's easier to click, you can just click on the second cell. And you'll also notice that it's color coding these things. It's got the blue cell plus kind of the pink cell. Whenever you're done, you can hit enter and you have your total. If you want to subtract, it works the exact same way. So equals, I prefer to click on the cells instead of typing them in. And then minus a cell, whichever you want to put in. Plus, minus, for using multiplying, you're going to hit shift and hit the 8 key. So if we want to multiply these two together, you'll put in the asterisk and then we can multiply these cells together. You'll notice that width auto adjusted. Clearly we're totaling these. They all should be added instead of subtracted and multiplied, but just as an example. And then the same thing on division. You can say equals one cell and then the slash, the forward slash. You'll notice that symbol. That's the divided by sign for when you want to use that. And you can do any kind of basic addition or subtraction, either by typing or by clicking. Now, let's say you put in a formula and you want to know what went into this formula. There's something in the Formula tab at the top called Trace Precedence and Trace Dependence. If you want to know what information went into this cell, you can trace the precedence. And you'll notice that it puts a dot in the cells and it shows that these two went in to create this formula. If you want to know where all this number was used, you can trace the dependence. And you can see that both this cell and this cell over here both used that 61,000 number. You can also remove the arrows if you don't want to show those anymore. And that's just a pretty handy little tool in case you put a certain amount of information based on a cell, or if you want to change this cell and you want to know what all it affects. That's the trace precedence, trace dependence. Those are some pretty handy buttons. There's also something, if you want to display the formula itself, you can do a show formula, where it's going to show what formula makes that cell up. So that's also pretty nice. And you'll notice that all of these then showed the formula. If you click on it again, that goes away. So that's also pretty handy. Now when you click on the cell, you can double click the cell and you notice it color codes it down here and up here. If you click on the cell and then put your cursor up here, it color codes them up here in this bar and then down here to the reference cells. So if you like the color coding, just know that whether you double click or whether you click up here, you're going to get the color coding put in two different places. Another way that you can display formulas is using the apostrophe button, which is over by the enter key. If you type in apostrophe, then you can say equals maybe A1 plus C7 or whatever formula it is you want to display, but that will let you put in an equal sign and show how the equation works permanently. A lot of times if you're showing your calculations, it might be nice to say equals MC divided by I. A lot of times though, if you start with that equal sign, it thinks it's a formula unless you put the quote first. If you put the quote first, it basically is going to ignore everything else that you type and it's going to show exactly what you want to show. One other way too, if you want to put equations in, you can go to Insert, the Insert tab, and then there's actually an equation box. So area of a circle, they already have that predefined. It puts it in as an object. And you can also go in and customize these. You'll notice that when you put your cursor in here, you get all kinds of lovely symbols up at the top. Fraction scripts, you can put calculus information in there. Matrix operations, might need that later. So those are just a couple of ways to display formulas. And that will finish up our first section, 2.1.